The NFA Act and your tax stamp is nothing more than a modern day fucking Jim Crow era bullshit pull tax. Hey guys, Josh. Let's talk. Let's talk gun control. And let's talk to the fact that gun control and gun control laws are directly tied into limiting certain groups of people from exploring their rights to own firearms. And let's explore the fact that gun laws are really rooted and based in racist ideology. Okay. Starting first, let's start with what we're talking about. Second Amendment. And the full text of the Second Amendment says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay. 2 points there that always get argued. And let's break them down. Well regulated. Anti-gun folks love to use a modern interpretation of the phrase well regulated when they're talking gun control, and that is a bad take. Well regulated in the 1700s did not mean restricted, did not mean laws. Well regulated simply meant in proper working order. That's literally what it meant. Proficient. An example of this would be in many books of the time that stated a well-regulated clock, a well-regulated meal. Modern anti-2A people love to twist this meaning and say it didn't mean what it did back in the 1700s. That's exactly what it meant back in the 1700s. I just showed you. I can pull up reference texts. In fact, let me do something. I'm going to quote the National Constitution Center here on well regulated. Within their site, which I'll link below, they state, quote, well-regulated in the 18th century tended to be something like well-organized, well-armed, well-disciplined. It did not mean regulation in the sense that we use it now. And it's not about the regulatory state. There's been nuance. It means the militia was in an effective fighting shape. Don't believe me? Go look up the Federalist Papers. They say the same argument. Anti-Federalist papers say the same argument. Now, let's move on to the other point of contention. Militia. Who is the militia? At the time of the American Revolution, the militia were groups of able-bodied men who protected their towns, their colonies, and eventually their states. That was the original intent. That was the original interpretation. Groups of able-bodied men. Now, as time has gone on, we have gotten rid of some of the racist and sexist undertones of the American legal system. It's there, I won't deny it. But this is constantly used as a point to argue that certain people shouldn't have gun rights. And I'm going to argue that you're full of crap. And here's why I can argue it. Okay, the Militia Acts. There's quite a few of them. I'm picking out some highlights of them here. Of 1792, established the initial framework for who the state militia was. And within that, they described all able-bodied males aged 17 to 45. Within that act, it gave the president the right and the ability to call them up for invasions or to enforce federal laws against powerful obstructions. I'll get back to this. Okay, we're going to jump ahead to Militia Act of 1862. Allowed President Lincoln to use black men for military service and granted the black soldier and their family freedom. So right here, we already see 160 some years ago, we already see some of these acts turning away from their racist beginnings, from their racial segregation beginnings. 1862, we allow blacks to join the militia. Okay, now we jump ahead again to the Dick Act. Dick Act. And this would be 1902. And what this did was modernize the militia system. It created the National Guard by integrating the individual state militias to more closely match what's expected of federal government or the federal army and the federal funding for the army. But within this act, it did two things extra special. It gave us specific modern definitions of who the militia was. And within it, it organized it into two areas: the organized militia and the unorganized militia. The organized militia, you're right, anti-gun folks, that is the National Guard. That is your Army National Guard, your Air Guard, all your Army Reserves. That can all be classified and bubbled under the organized militia. But that's just part of it. There's also the unorganized militia, the Reserve Army. And who is this? It is every able-bodied male. Originally, it's been updated since, at least age 17 and no older than age 45, who are not members of the National Guard or the naval militias. Essentially, it's every able-bodied male 17 to 45. That's why we have to do the Selective Service Act. What this group is specifically is in times of dire need. This is your draft eligible people. These are the people that can be drafted. We may not have had a draft since Vietnam, but this law is still on the book. This law has been updated. Now it's not just every able-bodied male. It is every able-bodied citizen. So, that's historical laws. Where let's shift our focus here just a little bit. That's just defining a lot of things. Let's zoom in now and let's focus on the point of this video. And that is the absolute racist undertones of gun control laws now and how they echo 150 years ago and the laws from Reconstruction. I'm going to mention one name. Dred Scott. Specifically the case law Dred Scott versus Sanford. Check that. I'll link it in the bottom. This was monumental within gun rights for people of color, for slaves, former slaves. Essentially, summarize, long case story short, Dred Scott moved from Missouri to a free state, gained his freedom while he was in a free state, then he moved back to Missouri, and he argued that because he was once free in a free state, he had not only gained the right to own firearms, but he had gained his freedom from slavery. And I'm broad stroking this. I am very broad stroking this. I'm sure there's other guys out there that can deeply, deeply discuss this point a lot better than what I'm doing. But what Dred Scott argued was that the laws of the time were openly racist by not allowing former freed slaves, persons of color, to own a firearm. And after years of arguing, the Supreme Court came back and agreed with him. They found that a lot of gun laws were openly racist. Not only that, they found the Missouri Compromise to be illegal and unconstitutional because you are valuing one set of human at a different value than another based on their skin. Sounds like a racist tone to me. I don't know. But let's fast forward about 20 years. It is Reconstruction in the Deep South. You have approximately 2 million former slaves who now want to carry based on their rights granted to them by the Constitution and supported by Dred Scott versus Sanford. And you have a lot of Southern white aristocrats who don't want that. So what happens? Those Southern white aristocrats who coincidentally, we'll get into it. We'll get there. Josh's going to tease it. There's a point here Josh wants to make. But those Southern white aristocrats start passing laws that are disenfranchising people of color of their rights. They're called Jim Crow laws. Okay, black person wants to go vote, they got to pay a poll tax. That's a Jim Crow law. That is illegal today. But that was disenfranchising them. That was disenfranchising blacks, former slaves. Many of these same Southern white aristocrats would form bluntly terror groups to harass, to murder. Let me rephrase that. Let me state that again. Southern white aristocrats would form groups with the sole intent to harass and murder black citizens, people of color. Now here's the teaser. Overwhelmingly, and I've seen a few numbers. I've seen a few different studies that cite slightly different numbers. Overwhelmingly, 80% plus of those Southern white aristocrats were Democrats. So when all you anti-gun folks say Republicans are racist, no. Historically, Democrats have enacted more racist mentality historically, Democrats have enacted more racially motivated, racially discriminatory laws than Republicans. It's far and away. But okay, I hear the argument. That was all 1800s. That was all 1900s. What happened? That was all 19th century. That's not modern. Okay? Let me argue this. The NFA Act of 1934. Gun guys, we all know what this is. This is the biggest pain in our ass. All it is a modern day poll tax. Oh, you want to have this type of rifle that historically has not been used to the effect that Democrats have claimed in gang violence, in violence in general? It's a $200 tax. It's called a poll tax. It's a modern poll tax. The NFA Act and your tax stamp is nothing more than a modern day fucking Jim Crow era bullshit poll tax. Now I know what you're going to say. I know the argument you're going to come at me. And I say bring it, because you know what? Bullshit. We'll get to that point in just a minute. One more act I want to highlight before I go off ranting. And that is the Mulford Act of 1967. Californians, this is your law. This was a law directly targeting the Black Panthers. What were the Black Panthers guilty of? Openly carrying firearms in public. Mulford Act directly targeted them with the racist act. With racially motivated legislation to limit their ability to carry a firearm. So you guys can come at me all you want. I don't care. You can say I'm a racist. You know what? I've got guys of every color. I've got women. I've got children that have come out and shot with me. I'm all for bringing everybody under the 2A banner. Historically, it has been Democrats that have wanted to limit the ability of people of color, of non-white landowning people, landowning males, to own firearms. Wasn't the Republicans. Now, here's my challenge to you, gun control advocates, gun control proponents. Give me a law that doesn't directly affect, doesn't directly target one group of people, but is still constitutionally allowable. I know what you're going to say. The Brady Act, assault weapons ban of 94. Let me tell you what that actually did. Jack shit. It took, I think it was 21 specifically named firearms. Took them off the shelves. But far and away, what that ban was for was aesthetic pieces. I couldn't have a lug nut on my rifle. I couldn't have a certain tool. I couldn't have a certain flash hider. I couldn't have a pistol grip on my firearm. I couldn't have a certain combination of aesthetic items. It didn't ban shit. And you know what else I'm going to say? Y'all, all those that are in favor of the 94 assault weapons ban being reintroduced have very selective memory and very bullshit memories. Y'all say, all y'all say that fucking it brought down gun violence. One, FBI and CDC both say you're full of shit. They have both stated numerous times that the assault weapons ban had negligible effects. Negligible effects. Let me reword that so my 6-year-old niece can understand that. This thing that you guys want didn't do much of anything. It might have changed 2%. It might have saved 10 lives in 10 years. It's estimated it saved less than 1,000 lives in 10 years. Negligible effects. Now, I want to come at you with a different point. gun violence was already on its way down from its peak in the late 80s. Late 70s through most of the 80s. That was the peak era of gun violence. It was already on its way down. And from 94 to 2004, using the same definition, which is another thing you guys don't do. You change that definition. But using the same definition of an assault rifle, less than 1,000 lives were saved in a decade. And all your gun control law did was make the AR platform rifle, which for 40 years before, nearly 40 years before, had been a niche firearm. It made it into America's most popular weapon. I have multiple. You've seen mine. I openly show mine. The increase in popularity of that firearm platform is directly tied to you anti-gun proponents and your demand to ban something that in 2024 was responsible for less than 100 deaths a year. All rifles account for about 500 deaths a year total. That's suicide, that is murder, that is shot by cop, all that. It's about 500 deaths a year. That's all rifles. That is bolt action, that is single shot, that is AR style. AR specifically, you have to do a little math in it, but it's less than 100 deaths a year. That are caused by ARs across the board. You want something banned that kills less than 100 people a year. Okay. If that's your metric, if that's your standard, if that's your point to where you say enough is enough, it needs to be banned, why are we not banning vehicles? Why are we not banning houses? Why are we not banning knives? I'm serious. Answer this for me. If 100 deaths in a year is your metric of being too much, why are we not banning things that escalate far and away above that number? Yes, I will admit 50,000 gun deaths a year sounds like a lot, but it's not, because the media is lying to your ass and you're just blindly listening instead of thinking critically. What the media doesn't tell you is of that 50,000, 60% are suicides that people that are suicidal, that do want to end their own lives, will find a way. Okay, you may take this tool from me. I'll still go grab a knife and slice my wrist. 30,000 gun deaths, roughly, I hate to put it this way, are unstoppable. People are going to find a way to kill themselves if they want it. So, of the rough 20,000 left, approximately 11,000 of that is gang related. There is less than 10,000 homicides in a country of 350 million. Plus, it's close to 400 million last I looked. But in a country of 350 million, there is less than 10,000, 11,000 homicides by firearm in a year. That is less than 1% of the total population. It is 0.001%. Check my math. Fast math. So guns aren't overtly dangerous. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, I'm just talking out of my ass. This sits on my desk. This sits on my desk. Both of those are fully loaded. Both of those are ready to rock and roll. If guns are so dangerous, why have they not jumped up and shot me? No, I'm not using this as hyperbole. I'm using this as a straight question. If guns are so dangerous, why have those not jumped up and shot me? Oh, so it's not ARs. So it's not all guns that are bad. It's just ARs. What makes an AR any different than that? Magazine size? I can get 33 round mags for this. My PSA dagger comes standard 17 round. The truth is, you are afraid of guns because you don't know about guns. That's the truth. And I'm standing here right now saying, let me be the one to help teach you. I can cover the basics just well. There's thousands of other gun tubers out there that can go into minutia a hell of a lot more clearly and concisely than I can. Reach out to them. Reach out to me. My ex is open. I'm willing to have those conversations. My ex shows it time and again. I reach out. Hey, we should ban guns. That's what I see. Why? What makes a gun so specifically dangerous? Oh, it's responsible for 50,000 deaths a year. Okay. That's your argument. Then we should ban medical practice and doctors, right? Because that is the direct result of between 200 and 250,000 deaths a year is because of medical malpractice. 4 to 5 times more than what firearms are used for. Automobiles are the same. They're back and forth year after year with guns for numbers. But yet you're not calling for those. There's many, many quotes out there from our founding fathers. I want to paraphrase a couple here. First one, the greatest way to enslave a nation is to disarm its citizens. Think about that. And think about this. The Tree of Liberty occasionally needs to be given the blood of tyrants. bad paraphrasing of a Jefferson quote. Fully admit it, but it gets my point. One last point here, and then I'll let you go, because this is going to be a pretty heavy rant. You can't just say, well, we want to ban dangerous weapons. Let me ask you this. How do you define dangerous? How do you decide what is overly dangerous? Because you know what kills more people year to year? It's not my rifles. These account for approximately 60 to 65% of all gun deaths. Handguns. But yet you have no problem going after those. Yet. You want to take something that is a phenomenal platform for people of all ages. Because it looks scary. That's the reasoning you're wanting an assault weapon ban. Now let's talk that definition here for a minute. What is an assault weapon? What specifically makes a weapon an assault weapon? If we take it as the dictionary would define it, any weapon used to assault. So a rock is an assault weapon. My shoe is an assault weapon. The toilet paper roll I throw at the girlfriend just because I'm being ornery, that's an assault weapon. I come in quite often on X, and I look for those debates. And I ask the simple question. And it's very intentionally done. What is an assault weapon? You know when that term first gained popularity? In the 1980s. After they had tried for years to ban pistols and failed every step of the way. Some bullshit propaganda master came up with this scary sounding term of assault weapons. That's all it is. It's a made up term when it relates to firearm. It is so broadly defined, anything can be an assault weapon. And that's why I push for those definitions. Now, let's shift gears just a little bit. AR does not stand for assault rifle. AR, as in the AR-15 platform, literally stands for Arm Light Rifle Model Number 15. That's the actual meaning of AR. Assault rifle has a very defined meaning. It is a rifle that is capable of single shot and either burst or full automatic. Very, very, very important detail in there. That and. 99% of all firearms. And it's like 99.8% of all AR platform rifles and pistols do not meet the definition of an assault rifle. Because they do not have the capability of either burst or fully automatic fire. Think about that. I don't know, guys. Hunting season's coming up. I will likely, as you're seeing this, I will likely actually be out deer hunting. So this will probably, because Chasing Monsters, the prequel is set up for this week. This will be edited for next week. Week after that is hopefully the deer hunt itself. So in closing, here's what I want to say. Pro 2A and 2A advocates, stop fucking gatekeeping. Bring in those people of color. Stop gatekeeping because someone doesn't have the Gucci gear. I run a $500 Delton AR. I run a $700 Glock. I run a $300 PSA dagger. Do you look down at me? Oh, I've got another rifle that's worth $1,500. Stop looking down on folks because they cannot afford $4,000 and $5,000 weapons. Invite them into the circle. Give them that knowledge base to let them become informed consumers and informed advocates of the 2A community. Anti-2A folks, the gun control crowd, here's my challenge to you. Turn off your echo chamber. Actually dare to engage with someone who is pro 2A and listen to what they're saying. You say you want to eliminate racism in law, but yet you're asking to reintroduce laws that have been racially motivated for hundreds of years. You say you want to protect people, but you cite sources and cite facts that are intentionally manipulated. Put down the cell phones. Come. Listen to what gun enthusiasts have to say. My bigger challenge, come shoot. Because you know what? I'll teach you how to shoot. I'll teach you, and I'll take you out there so you can enjoy. Because I have seen time and again, 80% of diehard anti-gun folks that actually nut up and face what they fear realize guns aren't that scary. That there is a lot of safety, that there is a lot of education that can be there that can help lessen those fears and make it safe and enjoyable. But y'all don't want to fucking listen. All you guys want to do is repeat bullshit and outright lie to us and then deny it. Is that your own cognitive dissonance showing through? But okay, that's what I got for you guys. Sorry, I know this was a long rant. I will talk to you after. Well, no, I'll see you next week for the hunt with the deer, and hopefully it's a successful on my end. That'll be chasing Monster 7 for sure, and possibly 8. I have to see. And then after that, it'll be first of the year, and we'll see where things go from there for video. I love y'all. I encourage you guys to reach out to the non-gun people, advocate for ourselves. But at the same time, understand that they're coming from a place of lesser knowledge and outright fear. They've been taught fear for decades. They may not know better. So be patient with them. Love each other, love yourself. Happy holidays. I'll talk to you later.